Um, Hello everyone, and I'm Kimmy Chen. I'm from the Hong Kong Baptist University, and today I'm very happy to be here to share with you about the project that I'm working on with my co-author, Dr. Rocky Chen. So the project that I'm working on is about the influence of anthropomorphized e-service agents on customer satisfaction in the service co-production context. So co-productions, that means that which is involved the input from customers and service provider, and which is being recognized a very important practice in services since the introduction of service dogma logic by Virgo and Lodge in 2004. And it has even become more popular in online context, particularly due to the current pandemic situation. And it is found that there are over 74% of increase the online transaction in the past year, since all the people just work from home or stay at home. Okay, so because of that, what firms do, companies, they are urged to find different ways and try to use different kind of tools to hopefully can better serve the growing number of online customers. And also in the past 10 years, they also have about the self-serving technology like ATM, so which also trying to hopefully to enhance the efficiency of the transaction with the customers. And in recent years in particular, because of the advance of the artificial intelligence, and firms start to use the e-service agents so as to replace the real agents and interact with the customers. And in fact, there are different companies like the Gucci, Burberry, they use chatbot, Michelin, and L'Oreal, they also use the e-service agents. They try to use these agents to introduce services to customers and also try to, pay up and select the products that try to fit the customer's needs and wants. And the ultimate goal for all those kinds of practices or tools is trying to enhance the efficiency for the transaction between the customer and the firm. But there are obviously will have some drawbacks. That would be about the trade-off between the high tech versus high touch. That would be the trade-off. So the use of self-design toolkit or self-serving technology, it has been criticized of being having the lack of the human touch with the service provider. And it has been argued that the customer do not have a meaningful social interaction with the service provider, just like what they have in the face-to-face interaction. So because of that, how to resolve it is because of recent development of AI, as what just said. So research in the field has tried to introduce a concept that we call anthropomorphism, that is trying to humanize the e-service agent and then let the consumer feel that they are actually interact with some human-like agents. And so hopefully it can help to boost up the sense of high touch. So anthropomorphism is like the attribute of physical features and mental capacity which are unique to human beings to the non-human agents, just like the technology, self-serving technology here. Okay, so because of this kind of trend, it leads us to have a look about the area of how does anthropomorphized e-agents work in the context of co-production. And in particular, we're trying to understand, does anthropomorphized e-agents always beneficial in enhancing customer service experience? And also, what are the underlying mechanisms? And we're trying to explore two opposing mechanisms. Later, I will explain more. And also, what are the boundary conditions for that? So before I jump to the conceptual framework, so I would like to tell you a little bit about the conceptual background. So in this paper, we are trying to use from the social identity perspective to understand the interaction between the customer and the service agent in the online context. So according to the social identity theory, actually people like all of us, we are motivated to maintain interpersonal connections with others, but at the same time, we are also motivated to establish a personal and unique identity, which is distinct from each other. So all those two needs, autonomy and also social affiliation, are the two critical elements that are very essential for the development of ourselves. And so when we apply this kind of concept into the online co-production context, similarly, we actually, as a customer, we need both interdependence with the e-agents, but at the same time, we also need independence from the e-agents. So what does it mean? So imagine that when we interact with a humanized e-service agent in the online context, first of all, we will have developed a kind of shared identity with these humanized e-agents on our co-producer product. We feel like that this product that co-produced between me and him have the shared identity of both of us. So because of that, we will feel a sense of enhanced interdependence between the customer, the participants, and the humanized e-service agent. But at the same time, because each of us will also have the need for, being independent. So when we are asked to co-produce a product with another human, so actually it will reduce our sense of self-identity. We will feel that we have the reduced chance to express our own self. So because of that, it forms like a two opposing mechanisms here. So based on this kind of our arguments, we try to propose two effects of the anthropomorphized e-agents. One is about that it will help to enhance the social rapport because of shared identity. So it has been found that people can see the humanized entity as a target of interpersonal relationship, even though they are not real human. But once they're being humanized, look like a human. So people would like to perceive them as more sociable, and also will try to form a social bond with those humanized e-agents. But at the same time, when these e-agents are being humanized, so when the customer could work with them, customer will actually sense a reduced autonomy because they also find that they will have a less, chance to express their self-identity. So because product literature have been found that getting help from other humans will actually reduce one's sense of control and agency of task. They will feels like that, they have kind of reduced sense of incompetence on the task. And also they will start to, have a sense about their opportunity of self-expression, like who are the causes of the co-producer products, which will also link to the psychological ownership literature. So because of these two effects, so it comes to the baseline of our proposed model, which we propose that anthropomorphized e-agents will actually enhance social rapport with the customers, but at the same time, the customer will feel a reduced sense of consumer autonomy, in which this social rapport and autonomy will ultimately influence the customer service experience, including the satisfaction, their actual purchase, their intention to reuse, and also word of mouth. So all those dependent variables we will capture in our 4 studies. So the next question would then come to, what are the boundary conditions? How can we help that? So according to an extension of a social identity theory, they have a situate cognitive theory. So it has been persists that identity, even if it's self or shared identity, they are malleable. They could be changes over time, or they could be changes on different situations. So it really depends on the situation. Let's say when in a certain situation, if the personal identity is cute, so one will shift the focus more on their independence from each other. But if the share or social identity is being cute in certain conditions, then one will focus more on the relationship and connection with others. So because of that, we try to introduce the moderator that will be help to moderate the impacts of the effects of the humanized e-service agents. So the moderator we'd like to examine is about the nature of the co-production task. So according to prior literature, co-production tasks can be categorized as either self-expressive or non-self-expressive. So if the task is highly self-expressive, that means the consumer's need for autonomy will be heightened. And so so once they are being co-produced product with a human-like agent, they will feel the sense of reduced autonomy. They will feel that their autonomy is being threatened, and so they will reduce their satisfaction. But if the self-expressiveness of the co-production task is not highlighted, so people will most likely will focus more on their connection with the human, so about the social rapport, the social presence of others. So in that sense, when the e-agents are being humanized, that it will actually increase the social rapport and then will enhance the service evaluation of the customers. So because of that, we're trying to add the moderator here, which is the task about the self-expressiveness, either it is high or low. So in addition to that, we also like to examine two more boundary conditions that we term it or label it as the interventions that firms can do to further enhance or boost up the effectiveness of the anthropomorphized e-agents. So we're trying to propose another two moderators, which will be at the later parts of the model, that is about the bolstering the social rapport and bolstering the autonomy, the empowerment for the customers. And hopefully it will help to sustain their satisfaction with the co-production experience. So for studying the e-service agent in this project, we try to use the e-service toolkit across all our studies. So because the co-production e-service toolkit is very popular nowadays, and which is about the design interface that that customer will interact with. And so the service provider on the one end will try to give the instruction feedback to the customers during the interactions. So, and in online co-production actually, and human-like e-service toolkit is usually will create in the form of like a digital assistant or chatbot, and they will put on a human-like face so that when interact with the customer will feel like that they interact with a human being. So in this research, we have conducted 4 studies with different purposes. So for study 1 and 2, we try to examine the base model, the baseline model about the opposing mechanisms of social rapport and autonomy, as well as the task, the co-production task, nature, that is the boundary condition. And study 3 and 4, we're trying to examine the another interventions that firms can do. So for study 1, which is a 2x2 research design, so we try to manipulate about the e-service agent, whether it is like a humanized or not. And the task, we will first examine whether a task is self-expressive or not. Okay, so it is actually a field study that we, and the dependent variable is about the real purchase. So we recruit the students on campus, and they are asked to co-design Chinese New Year greeting card with the computer, with the e-service agent, which is either humanized or not. So during the co-production process, the customer or participant, he or she have to work closely with the e-service agent about the choice of the card, and also the slogan, the wordings, the greeting words, etc. Okay. So this is the way that we manipulate the anthropomorphism, that we try to follow the work of prior literature. So the computer with a human face on, and also use first person language will be the one in the humanized agent condition. And for the non-humanized agent conditions, that they don't have a face. The computer don't like have a human face, and they also do not use the first person language. So we'll use this kind of manipulation across all the 4 studies. For test self-expressiveness, we try to manipulate by asking the participant to design the greeting card, either for expressing themselves or for their parents. So if it is for their parents, that means that the self-expressiveness is not cute, okay? And the DV is, we will give them around $1 for appreciation of their participation in a task, but they can feel free to choose whether they want to use that $1 to buy that co-producer card or not. So this is to test the real purchase of their behavior. So this is the result. So first of all, let's see about these 2 blocks. So for the self-expressiveness conditions, so when one self-identity is being heightened, so you can find that the humanized E agent actually will be backfire, because when self-identity is being heightened, people will look more for independence from the E agents. They want more autonomy. So once they are being, focused on about their work with another human, with the humanized E agents, they actually, the purchase is reduced. So you will see that the blue bar is much lower than the orange bar. But for those non-self-expressiveness condition, so those when the participants in the conditions that they just need to design the greeting card for their parents, but not for themselves. So their self-identity needs do not heighten, right? So because of that, when they are interact with the humanized e-service agent, it will actually be good for them. They were more motivated to buy the card when they have interaction with the humanized e-agents, because they sense have an enhanced social rapport. Okay, so that's why the blue bar is higher in this condition. So this result revealed that participants in the humanized condition were less likely to buy the card when the task was highly self-expressive, but for those in the humanized condition, they are more likely to buy the card when the task was low in self-expressiveness. So for study 2, we used the 2x2, the same design, but we just use another product. We ask them now to design a T-shirt. And so instead of greeting card, and so they need to design T-shirts as a tour souvenir. And the T-shirt will be include the color, the pictures of on the front and back of the T-shirt. And so for the self-expressiveness, we manipulate in the way that we ask them to design a T-shirt that can best represent themselves or represent a city that they are not that familiar with, which is Arnhem in this research. Okay, and so we also measure in this study, we measure their self-report service satisfaction, and we also measure their perceived social rapport and autonomy, because we want to examine the opposing underlying mechanisms that we propose in this research. So here's the result. You will see that we replicate the result of the study 1, that in the self-expressiveness conditions, humanized service agent is not good. The people will, in general, feel less satisfied with the humanized e-agents. But in the non-self-expressive conditions, the blue bar is higher because people feel more satisfied with the humanized e-service agent. So the reason is because of the underlying mechanism of social rapport and also autonomy, which we find the mediation role of autonomy is a rapport, and most importantly, we found a moderate mediation effect. Okay, so which is demonstrate our mediating mechanism as well as the boundary condition. So about the study 3 and 4, we try to introduce another set of intervention into our study. So we have 8 cell, 8 condition, which is 2 by 2 by 2. So the additional 2 cell is about the bolstering rapport, yes and no condition. What we do is that we have the same procedure as the study 1, except a few changes. First of all, in this study, we use a co-design test about the co-design the watch. That is, the participants, they need to co-produce and co-design the watch with the e-service agents. So they will need to design the watch strap and also the style of the watch hands and the picture on the dial. And the key difference is about the condition of the bolstering social rapport. So how we work it out? We try to persist that when the customers, when they can get the social rapport from other source, so let's say from other customers. So in that situation, even though they cannot get the social rapport from the e-service agent, their social need can still be compensated from their social interaction with other customers. So that's why in this study, how we manipulate it, the bolstering rapport condition is that for those participants in the bolstering social rapport conditions, we will have actually allowed them to interact with other customers during the co-design process. So we have a configurate who acts as another customer. So which is also behind the scene, they are interact with that focal customers through the Skype. So we ask the configurate to initiate a conversation with the customers, and then and they follow a preset script, and so they will talk with the customers, with the focal participants through the Skype. And so that's to let the focal participant to sense that they have the sense of social rapport from other customers. But for those participants in the absence of social rapport conditions, they won't have any interaction with other customers. Okay, so only those participants in the condition of bolstering social rapport conditions, they will have a chance to interact with others to get the social rapport and support from other customers. Okay, so that is the way that we manipulate the rapport. And the DV is about one's willingness to recommend this watch co-designed watch to others, and that will be served as an indicator of service satisfaction. By the way, sorry for the typo. This will be initiate the conversation rather than conservation. Okay, so this is result. So let me talk about baseline condition, that is without the bolstering social rapport condition. So you will see that for the baseline condition, the result is replicates the prior 2 studies. That is, under self-expressive conditions, people will not feel satisfied that much with the humanized e-agents, but when for the non-self-expressiveness conditions, the blue bar is higher because people feel more satisfied when they can interact with the humanized e-agents due to the enhanced social rapport. But once we introduce the bolstering rapport condition, you will see that once the customers have received the rapport from other customers, so you will find that the negative effect of the non-anthropomorphism in the non-self-expressive condition was eliminated. Okay, so that means, which shows that once the customer can replenish their social rapport need from other sources, so it is fine that it doesn't matter whether the e-service agent is humanized or not. So for study 4, we try to examine another intervention from the company, that if the company can try some ways to bolstering the autonomy of the customer, of the participants, and possibly it will also have to reduce the negative effects of the anthropomorphized e-agents. So in this study, we used 2 by 2 by 2 between subject design, and then the product that could design is a mug. And the procedure was the same as the study 3, except that then we asked the people to design the mug, and then they can decide the color of the mug, the picture on the mug, and also the motto on the mug. Okay, so for the task self-expressiveness condition is you design the mug either for themselves or for another shopper with opposite gender. So that is that they do not need to have any sense about self-expression in that condition. So, and for the manipulation of bolstering autonomy, how we do that. So for those participants in the bolstering autonomy conditions, they will have more freedom. We allow them, we give them more empowerment and discretion to co-design the mug, okay, to design the mug, including 3 major differences. They can determine the design order by themselves. They can review all the choices. They can go back to previous design, make the changes. And they can also write down whatever motto they want on the mug instead of choosing from the 6 default option that we provided through the computer, okay, through the system. So they will have far more autonomy to do the co-designed work. And for the dependent variable in this time, in this study, we asked them to report their willingness to reuse the service next time. Okay, so here's the result. Again, for baseline condition, it replicates our prior studies. And so, but for the bolstering autonomy condition, interestingly, we found that when participants' autonomy were bolstered, that means that when participants, they can get their autonomy need. They didn't fulfill their autonomy need from other sources. Okay, so the negative effect of anthropomorphism in the self-expressive condition was eliminated. That means it doesn't matter about whether the e-service agent is humanized or not, as long as the participants' autonomy are being replenished from other sources, it is fine, okay? So to conclude, so our study actually tried to shed more insight on the effects of anthropomorphism in the online co-production context. And we try to take from a psychological perspective rather than the economic or efficiency perspective, and to examine 2 opposing psychological mechanisms explaining the effects of anthropomorphized e-agents. And we, in particular, we try to use and based on the identity theory perspective and review a double-edged sword effect of anthropomorphized e-agents on customer service experience. And we also provide insight to the companies about, the nature of co-production task itself can help to resolve the double-edged sword effect. And we also offer suggestions or interventions that firms can leverage to bolster customer social rapport and the autonomy, and so they can enhance the service experience when they're co-producing these services or products with a human-like e-agents. Okay, so this is what I would like to share with you, and thank you very much, and hope you enjoy and stay safe and stay healthy and take good care. Thank you.